G'day guys, Rolfus here bringing you a new video. I'm here with Lewis, and today we're going to be talking about the Black Templars new codex. We haven't done this before. We've got nothing planned really.
Yeah.
I just said let's do a video about it, and Lewis said alright.
Yeah. You need to do one for Necrons, like a review, 1 year later,
Yes.
Actually, it is almost 1 year.
Yeah, it's well over a year. I think it was September last year we got the book.
Yeah, that could be a cool video.
I'm still delving into the book too, which is really cool because there's so many different new units.
There is a lot,
I actually bought something, and it actually arrived today.
Oh, nice.
But I haven't got it on me, so
cool.
Maybe if we have a break and we'll come back and I'll show people at home what it is.
Yeah, so I got the limited edition box set codex that came with the army set. It's got the 3rd edition cover art. I'm not sure if that was from a Black Templars codex, but I think it was. Was it? Yeah, I thought it might have been Codex Space Marines, but yeah, just like really cool piece of artwork. I basically got the box for this piece of artwork. Really, the rest I was pretty happy to wait on, but yeah, my box set took a while to get here, so I actually went to the GW store and just bought a set. And I'm just gonna sell the rest of my other one off.
There might be a Redemptor coming to my army soon.
Yes.
I was like, I'll wait till I know the Redemptor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love Black Templars. One of my first memories of playing them back in, I think it was 3.5.
Yeah.
They had to chase the nearest thing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so you'd have a rhino, and they'd be chasing a rhino around the board.
Yeah, and you had to fall back towards the enemy or something.
Yeah, something weird like that.
It's
very weird rules.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But look, I've only played one very quick game last night, and I didn't really know what I was doing with it. So I don't have much experience with it, but I have been thinking about the book a lot.
We've got a lot of experience with the 8th edition codex.
What's that, sorry?
You've had a lot of experience with the index.
The index, exactly. So, the index, I played in the recent GT with the index.
And you got 4th in the GT?
Fifth by just a few points, which I was pretty happy with. So basically, those birdies are quite loud.
They can be quite loud, yeah.
That's all good. So, the index, Space Marines were the fastest Space Marine army by a long shot.
Yeah.
Obviously, an army like White Scars can advance and charge across the board, but with the combo of Devout push and advance and charge, you could move something like a Terminator squad an incredible amount of distance.
Especially re-rolling the advance as well.
Exactly.
So just army-wide re-roll advance is really good.
Exactly. So, because Devout push was a pile-in move, you could boost it with Canticle of Hate.
Yes, up to 6 inches.
Yeah, so you'd move a unit in your opponent's turn and then advance and charge them in your turn.
Yes.
And that was just incredibly powerful.
Very annoying.
There just wasn't much counterplay to that. So I think that made Black Templars, although they didn't have many rules, that really put them up there with some of the best chapters, I think. Just really strong. And you could even run Dreadnoughts in the list because you could give Dreadnoughts a 4-up involve for a turn, which is very strong.
That was a very good relic. Is that still in the book?
It is, but it's slightly different. So, so I guess a good place to start with how different this book is, I guess, because it is very different. Is Devout push can no longer be used the way that it was in the past. No. We'll talk more about it when it comes up. So that's slightly different. And advance and charge is just totally gone for the army.
Yeah, that's pretty big change.
There's no access to advance and charge. So you've gone from being one of the fastest armies in the game.
Well, you were faster than transports, weren't you?
Exactly.
Crazy,
Or I think, I'm not too sure about some Harlequin stuff, but you would probably have one of the fastest units in the game by putting whatever in an impulsor.
Yeah.
You could actually, the fastest is Eliminators, which is weird because you could advance. Sorry, not advance, but just move an impulsor.
Yeah.
You could get out 3 inches. With your Eliminators or disembark. Sorry. You could advance them, and then you could shoot. and then move again.
Oh, yeah.
And then at the end, Devout push them. I'm
Yeah.
not sure exactly what it's like 33 or 34 inches or something like that.
That's crazy.
So you basically like do a lap of the short edge of the board. Like, yeah, so not that you'd ever do that. Like there's no real point in doing something that big, but you could do it if you wanted to.
Funny,
So advance and charge is gone. So yeah, that already is, like changed the army in a big way. The big sort of rule change that they've got is called vows.
Yes.
So that is sort of like replacing their super doctrine ability, which you know all Space Marines have. So there's no longer like a specific super doctrine for Black Templars. They instead get this ability called vows, which to me it's very fluffy, you know, like Templar vows, which, you know, just as a general comment, this book fluff-wise, with the new models, like, are just incredible. Like, the new models look absolutely fantastic.
Crazy,
Like, I put together my Marshal the other night, and it's just, like, one of the best models I've seen. Like, the detail in the sculpt, and just, like, capturing that, like, Templar vibe is just awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, rules-wise, very fluffy. The book does a great job at capturing, you know, that kind of stuff as well, but not all of it in a competitive sense, which is probably what, at the moment, I'm enjoying more, like, sort of tournament-style play.
We are both pretty competitive people.
Yeah.
We do like our fluff games, but I think probably competitive is where we're at with most games.
Definitely. I think since the last GT, that's sort of what I've been thinking of most in terms of Warhammer.
Yeah.
So the fluffy stuff, while I do appreciate that, a lot of the rules in this book have, you know, either some sort of weird restriction on them that I don't think will translate that well into competitive play, and vows are the first example of that. So Templars get to choose pre-game in like the mission briefing step of a game. So that means per different opponent, you can choose a different vow, and you have 4 choices. So I'll start with, I'll leave the best one to last, but basically you get a vow if all your units are Black Templars units, like you have only Black Templars detachments. So if you soup, you lose it. Yeah. So the first one is suffer not the unclean to live. So each vow has like a benefit, and then it has what's called a passion, which is basically like a drawback of that vow. So while this vow is in effect, and bearing in mind vows affect all Black Templars units, not just core or anything like that, it says, while this vow is in effect, each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack against a non-vehicle unit, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target. Then the drawback of that, and it's quite wordy, and it took me a little bit to actually visualize what this meant. Yeah, exactly. It says, each time this unit, or so any unit, you know, that you select to charge, each time this unit is selected to charge, the closest enemy non-aircraft unit that is within 12, so within charge distance, and not within engagement range of any other Black Templars, units from your army must be declared as a target of that charge.
I was looking at that one. Does that mean if you charge one unit, no other unit can charge that?
Yeah. So I'll start with the good part of it. Yeah. So this is very similar to what Black Templars had as their old super doctrine.
Yeah, their old super doctrine.
Auto wounding on 6s. It's actually a little bit better now, this part of it, because in the past you had to charge to get that benefit, but now there's no charge component, all the time. Yep. So that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
But to me, auto wounding, whilst that is quite a strong thing in some instances, for instance, it's really good against transhuman. Yes, it's really good against things where you're wounding on 5s.
Yeah.
To me, it's not as good as something like exploding 6s or some of the other super doctrines that other assault armies get. Like, you look at White Scars, who have arguably the better one.
Plus one damage is pretty good.
Blood Angels have a really good one.
Yeah.
Space Wolves, obviously, like exploding sixes.
Yeah.
So, to me, this one was being a little bit subpar. The fact it also has a drawback on top of it, whereas none of those armies have a drawback on their Super Doctrine. And I guess we get drawbacks because we get to choose from 4 different vows. Like, that's sort of the trade-off. I don't know if this one's worth it because, like you said before, Nathan, it basically means if you charge a unit, you can't do multiple charges because once one unit has charged something, they're in engagement range of a Black Templar unit.
Yeah.
And so that means you have to then charge the next closest thing. And like I was saying before with like competitive play, I don't think you want to be taking things and putting basically putting tools in your opponent's
a good
toolbox.
opponent will definitely use that against
exactly.
you, yeah.
It's like, you have to charge the closest unengaged unit. Like that is pretty exploitable, and it could be a big problem. So to me, I probably wouldn't choose that one very consistently. No. I'd probably try and stay away from that one, to be honest. So already, to me, the vows are, not feeling great. So, okay. I'll go on to the next sort of not great one.
Okay, yeah.
Or to me, I don't think it's great. So, accept any challenge, no matter the odds. And this one says, while this vow is in effect, while this unit is within engagement range of any enemy units, if a combat doctrine is active for your army, this unit gains the bonus of the assault doctrine. Okay. So, instead of the combat doctrine that is active. So I was about to say you get both, but
so you're always in the assault doctrine, basically.
Yeah. So as soon as you get engaged, you go into assault doctrine. As soon as you're not engaged, you go back into
that's
whatever.
Not too bad.
So that's pretty handy.
Yeah.
This next part is also pretty nice. Each time this unit fights, until that fight is resolved, add 1 to the attack's characteristics of models in that unit. This is not cumulative with the additional attack granted by the shock assault ability. So basically, if there's 2 rounds of combat, it's as though you've charged.
So you're always in this shock assault and always in the assault doctrine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So the passion is, the drawback is this unit cannot fall back.
Yeah.
So I know, at first, I sort of thought, whatever, that actually doesn't sound too bad. And this was when this was first previewed on the Warhammer community website. I thought, okay, that's pretty good. Always being in Assault Doctrine, pretty strong.
Yes.
But the more I think about it, this drawback of cannot fall back, I think that is actually massive.
40k is a very fluid game.
Yeah.
And you want to be falling back to push forward sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and a lot of people have said, well, you're always taking oaths at the moment, etc. You sort of don't want to fall back anyway. Sometimes falling back will actually get you a bigger benefit than just 1 point.
Like holding the middle or 5 points from the objective,
If you're playing right, you should be maxing that anyway, despite just getting 3 in one round, you know what I mean? So, this to me is one of those things that if you sort of build a list with, using this in mind, using this in, say, a tournament, over 5 games, just this vow alone and not being able to fall back, there might just be one instance where that might actually just lose you a game. You know what I mean? You're just stuck in there. And like the first one, suffer not the unclean to live, you're putting a huge tool in your opponent's toolbox.
100%.
Knowing they can't fall back.
Here's my rhino, I'll charge your unit and you're stuck in your
Exactly. Something like Eradicators or something like that. They're just going to get absolutely tar-pitted by anything, really, unless you can fight them off with another unit, charge and kill that unit. There's no falling back and shooting a unit that's sort of stuck. Normally you fall back to shoot a unit that's out of position.
Exactly right, yeah.
Not being able to do that when you want to do it is, to me, not that great.
No, it's not.
So I could definitely see myself using this vow in like one-off games where, you know, if you lose, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but
exactly right.
at something like tournament, I just can't run that risk of not falling back, losing me a game. You know what I mean? The other thing that I don't think is great about this, you're probably not going to be in engagement range turn 1.
No.
So it doesn't really affect turn 1.
No, definitely not.
Turn 2, you go into tactical, so you might do a bit of combat there, and then it's, you know, handy.
Yeah.
Turn 3, you can just go into Assault Doctrine
right,
anyway.
Yes.
Unless you've like built a list where you're taking lots of, you know, rapid fire weapons, assault weapons, and you choose to go into Tactical Doctrine turn 3, which
Might
could
be right with a bunch of assault bolters. Yeah.
Well,
the intercessors of assault.
yeah.
So I don't know what they're called.
Well, Crusaders can take all assault bolters.
Yes.
What are they? Auto bolt rifles.
Yeah,
You can do something like 50 shots with a max squad. So maybe there's something there. Also, it helps things like assault hellblasters, which we'll get to in a little bit because they're a thing now, I think.
Okay.
The other thing, just like a niche thing that I want to talk about with the benefit of this vow, there's a Space Marine relic, just a vanilla codex relic called the Honor Vehement. And all it does is it gives you an extra attack, but it doesn't stack with Shock Assault. So if you have that relic and you take this vow, you can just ignore the benefits of Shock Assault. And when you charge, you can get +2 attacks from this vow and the Honor Vehement. Because it doesn't say they don't stack with each other.
Yeah, they don't stack with Shock Assault.
Yeah, exactly. So that might be another thing where you can get your Blade Guard up to like, you know, 7 or 8 attacks or something like that or 7 attacks per model. So that might be a fun build that we might have to do I was going to say on stream. Record it one time. On a bat rep. The only thing that I can think of that sort of mitigates the fallback thing is if you take a heap of Terminators.
Yes.
And you take Teleport Homers. Because with the Teleport Homer, and I haven't actually heard this mentioned yet, so maybe it's like groundbreaking. I don't think it is, because I think this vow's terrible anyway. But a Teleport Homer, if you activate it, it's no sort of move or anything like that. You just you can Teleport Homer out of combat, and that unit goes into reserves essentially. So that might be a way to get around not being able to fall back, but you know. It's probably not that.
Probably not. No.
Okay, so let's move on to the third one. So this one's called Abhor the Witch, Destroy the Witch. The vow is once per battle in your first movement phase. If there are any Psyche units in your opponent's army until the end of the phase, add 3 to the move characteristics of models in this unit. The second part of the vow says each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack against a Psyche unit, reroll a wound roll of 1. And then the drawback says, while an enemy Psyche unit is within 18 of this unit, the unit cannot perform any actions. Yeah. So that one's like not too bad, but obviously you need your opponent to have a Psyche to be able to take it. And to get the benefits of rerolling a wound roll of 1, you probably want them to have a lot of Psyches, like, you know, Grey Knights or something like that. This one I think is somewhat takeable. Like the movement, the extra movement in your first movement phase, I think it sounds good, but I don't think it's that needed because Black Templars are so fast anyway, being able to reroll your advances. And when we get to talking about Grimaldus, they are like extremely fast because of one of his abilities. But so I don't think that part of it comes into play too much because often you don't want to advance too far forward.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, because you know you're either going to get shot or charged or whatever.
Or smited.
Yeah. The only thing that would stop me taking this for the reroll a wound of 1 against, you know, GK or Thousand Suns is because the next vow that I'll talk about, the last vow, which I think is easily the best one, and it's you know, everyone would agree this is the best vow. Like, once I talk about it, it'll make more sense. But you would build your army for this vow, and you would never then not take that vow.
No.
Yeah, and I'll explain it now, and it'll make more sense.
So we'll go on to the next vow.
Yeah, so uphold the honor of the Emperor. The vow is models in this unit have a 5+ invulnerable save. It just says models, doesn't say infantry, core, models, anything. Each time an attack is made against this unit, an unmodified wound roll of 1 to 2 for that attack fails, irrespective of any abilities that the weapon or the model making the attack may have. The drawback is each time an enemy model makes an attack against this unit, the unit does not receive the benefits of cover against that attack. Now, I'll just read one thing from the reference section.
Okay.
Just to add some confusion.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about this.
So
between our group and online.
Yeah. So in the rare rules section of the rule book, when it says you don't receive the benefits of cover, it means just cover across the board. When an enemy is shooting through dense cover, you do not receive the benefit of that dense cover. The -1. And obviously not the benefit of light cover or whatever. However, in the reference section, it says, uphold the honor of the Emperor. This unit cannot receive the benefits of light cover or heavy cover.
It's very true.
So that, it's like, well,
who do you believe?
Yeah, so why isn't it the same in both spots? Like, I have no idea. So in the one game I played it that part because it's much better because I very much like to have dense cover.
I mean, it makes a big difference on vehicles and that
exactly.
Sort of thing,
So, this vow is really good. Like, it's really good. It's easily the best one.
Even rules is written in the actual rules here. Benefits of no cover is still pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even if there's no dense, like, you can still get by without it.
Yeah.
So immediately when I hear every model in my army gets a 5+ invul, I just think Redempted Dreadnought.
Oh yes,
because that's really their one drawback is they have no invul. And look, having a baby transhuman of not being able to get wounded on a 2 is pretty good too. Like,
it's a massive,
might not come in all the time, but units like Terminators or Vanguard veterans that have no access to transhuman, the stratagem. When you're getting hit by Thunder Hammers or Dark Lancers or Las Cannons, Melter Guns, like, they all wound you on 2s.
Yeah.
So just having to make them roll that 3 might save you a couple of dudes. Yeah. So
especially when you get on top of everything else.
So I played Reese on Blood Angels, Reese has a new army that hopefully everyone will see soon. It looks amazing. So Blood Angels just get +1 to wound, like on the charge in melee. So they're often wounding Space Marines on 2s.
Oh yeah.
Anything above Strength 4 means you're wounding on a 2, basically. So that came in really clutch. The 5+ invul on Dreadnoughts was awesome. Like, saved a lot of damage. I personally love to play Terminators, so not getting the benefits of cover on things like Terminators and Blade Guard does hurt a little bit because, you know, an Assault Terminator squad with a 0+ save is very annoying. And once you put 5+ feel no pains, etc. on them, they're really annoying to shift. But I'm willing to live with that because I think the other parts of it are really good.
100%.
Yeah. So that's the vows. So I think overall, as like a new system and like a new core element of an army, I think it was a bit of a whiff because 3 out of the 4 are basically not unusable, but you wouldn't want to use them.
A lot of the books have been like that. Lately.
Exactly. Like, even the Abhor the Witch one, like, if I knew I was going to turn up and play a casual game against a friend playing Thousand Suns, I'd feel almost a bit sort of cheaty, you know, bringing that out. But it's really the only time that it's good. I don't know. Uphold the Honor of the Emperor is fantastic. I think that is something that basically every Black Templar's list is going to get built around now.
Speaking about this Uphold the Emperor, can you still smoke screen of your Crusader squads?
No, unfortunately not.
Oh,
you can with the non-Primaris ones.
Oh, okay,
yeah. So that's the other thing that we'll talk about in a second. So this is really good with the huge blocks of Crusader squads. Just giving them all, the neophytes only have a 4-up save, so having a 5-up invul is going to come in a lot.
Basically ignoring anything over AP 1.
Exactly, yeah. It's really good. I think Dreadnoughts are going to be really good because of that, and a couple of other things that are coming a bit later.
Yeah. So I like the vows, but like you said, ones don't need to be taken.
Exactly, yeah. So it's a bit disappointing. Yeah, but whatever.
Alright, we'll have a quick break and get a drink, and then we'll come back with something else.
Excellent. Sounds good.
Look at these bloody birds. Okay, we're back.
Excellent. So, up to stratagems.
You want to just sort of pick out the ones that you think are going to be...
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, the big one, the one everyone was talking about before the book dropped is Devout Push. Yeah. Like, would Devout Push live? Because everyone thought it would go... or get heavily nerfed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was expecting it to be gone completely.
Yes,
a lot of the stratagems from old
as well.
codexes were completely wiped out.
Yeah. So it's still here. It's not quite. It's like maybe a slight nerf because the last one was just so powerful. Yeah. But it's just sort of different now. So it just reads when a Black Templar's core or character unit is selected, you can do one of the following. If that unit is not within engagement range of a unit, you can make a move of 3 inches, just a normal move. It must end this move either closer to the closest enemy unit or closer to the closest objective marker. If that unit is within engagement range, then it's a pile-in. So it used to just be a pile-in all the time, which was very abusable and broke so many rules of the game, which we won't list here. The old one's gone, so we won't talk about it too much. So they changed the pile-in to just a normal move, so it basically doesn't break a heap of rules.
You can't move into engagement range.
You can't move into engagement range. You can't basically fly over difficult ground.
Yeah, that's right. So you would go 1 inch through forest.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's obviously worse in those ways. But because it's a normal move now, it actually has sort of different strengths to it.
Yeah.
So the big one is that a normal move is what a unit does to get into a transport. Yeah. So you can actually get out of a transport in your movement phase, and the only rule that says that you can actually re-embark into a transport with the same unit as long as it's in a different phase.
Yeah.
So as long as your unit can make a normal move in a phase other than the movement phase, you can actually get out and then back into the transport. Which you might think, why would you want to do that? But it's actually pretty strong in some cases. So with something like an impulsor full of Hellblasters, which Hellblasters are an expensive unit. They don't have much defense.
No.
They're basically intercessors with expensive guns.
Yeah.
You can jump out of an impulsor and then you can shoot and then jump straight back in.
Yeah. For 1 CP.
Yeah. And when you're for 1 CP exactly. And when your impulsor has a 5-up invul with the vow that you would have definitely taken.
Yes.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good. You can also do it with eradicators jumping out of a repulsor and shooting and jumping back in.
Yep.
Which it's very expensive to do all that, but it might be good. Who knows?
But an impulsor with the Hellblasters is wouldn't say a cheap way of doing it, but an effective way.
Exactly. Yeah. So the other good thing about it being a normal move and not a pile-in move has to end up model by model closer to the closest model.
Yeah.
So this one just says that the unit just has to end up closer to an enemy unit. So you can, in the same way that you can kind of use a charge to, you just make one thing get into engagement range, and then the rest use their charge distance to go whichever direction they want. You can actually use Devout Push in that way as well, as long as one model is closer to the closest enemy unit.
That's a big difference.
So that's a big difference instead of the whole unit having to move towards the closest enemy model. The other massive change to me is you can select if you want to go closer to an enemy unit or the closest objective, which means you can...
Is it or is it just whatever's closest?
No, it must end up... either closer to the closest enemy unit or closer.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like,
which to me is massive because you can basically use it to move any direction you want, really.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Like, there'd be very few cases that you'd be stuck to move a certain direction. So, because you can use this on core and characters, you can use it on your whole army.
Yeah.
Essentially. And, you can do things like touch a piece of terrain with a dreadnought, shoot through the terrain, and then just move it backwards towards an objective, and they're obscured now.
Obscured again, yeah.
So
you don't have to worry about your cover with your arms
exactly, when you're obscured. Thankfully, we still get obscured. That would have been too much. So that's a really good use for it. You can do the same with infantry. You could shoot a thing of suppressors or something. And then, jump them back in obscuring. Just as an example, I probably wouldn't use suppressors in my Black Templars army, but...
Probably not.
So, like I said before, it's different, maybe slightly not as powerful as what it was before.
100% not as powerful, but still.
But it has a lot of cool uses, so I think you'll still be using Devout Push a lot. And look, you can still use it in either fight phase. So say it's your opponent's fight phase, you can just get 3 inches of free movement on your Terminators, and then it's your turn, and you can either charge or move them, up the board.
Especially when you can pile in before they can get a chance to pile in on you.
Exactly.
Blocks a lot of movement with that.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah. I'm glad they kept it. I'm glad they kept what they did.
Yeah. So there's still going to be some shenanigans there. Right, the next one that we will talk about is, so they got a lot of the generic ones improve AP on 6s, just all the generic Space Marine kind of ones. What have we got here? Okay, for the Emperor's Honor, so 2 CP, use the stratagem in the fight phase, you select one character, and you choose one of your enemy's characters that you are in engagement range with. That character has to fight your character with all its attacks in that fight phase. Yeah. So it's kind of like a bit of a worse version of the Blood Angels one, where a character can just tell a unit that it has to fight them.
Yeah.
So that's the best Blood Angels stratagem that there is probably in their book. So it's fine to me that we just get a worse version of that one. Because this is still pretty good in some instances, especially when we talk about some of the relics in a second. This is pretty decent. Like, sometimes you just want your unit of, say, Blade Guard to live, and something big and scary is about to hit them.
Like Gazgol or something.
Yeah, exactly. Gazgol or Morty or something. You can just make them just hit your, your chaplain or something like that. But yeah, there's a bit more tech with this, so we'll sort of come back to it in a second.
Are there any other standout stratagems, or do we want to move on to the relics?
The Bombastic Delivery basically lets you auto-pass a litany.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a very good one. So it lets you auto-pass and then recite one additionally. So
is that just in the command phase?
In the command phase. So it's a bit different to commanding oratory, where you can do it in any phase, but this essentially, like on a Master of Sanctity, you can actually get 3 litanies off with this, because you can recite one litany normally, so you roll it.
Yeah.
Then you pay 2 CP for bombastic delivery. It auto passes one, and then it says recite one additionally.
Yeah.
So, as written, I think this lets you recite 3 litanies, which is pretty incredible. Like, because Black Templars get their own litanies, and they're all pretty good. The other ones, what's it called? Tenacious Assault. So the one where you can stop a unit from falling back.
Oh yes.
It used to be 2 CP. On a what was it? 2 to 6, you would stop that unit falling back. You always rolled a 1 on it, and you'd use all your CP. Everyone felt bad. It was bad. Definitely lost at least one game using that. Now it's 1 CP, and it's just on a 4-up.
Very, very unreliable.
Yeah, so it's very unreliable, but I think it's less of like a feel bad thing now. Now it's more of a, I'll see if I'll see if I can stop you falling back.
And it's there.
It's there. The other thing is, it's actually better value now because you get 3 numbers on the dice for 1 CP. So, whereas before for 5 numbers on the dice, it was 2 CP. So it's actually like 2.5 numbers per CP as opposed to 3.
Yeah, fair
so
enough.
It's actually slightly better value.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's I think basically all of them. There's one where you can advance and ignore the penalty to shoot at assault weapons, which not very Templary. Maybe it's good with the big Crusader brick. You can also advance and shoot rapid fire weapons, which there's not many good rapid fire weapons in the Space Marine Codex. There's very few.
Unless you want more powerful plasma guns, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
But even then, it's probably not.
That's basically all the good stratagems, really. The rest are kind of just okay ones that, what you'll barely ever see them come up because no one will use them.
No. There's a lot of those in no one.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, no, there is one more. Sorry, Champion of the Feast. So I don't know if this will end up ever being, used in, competitive lists or whatever.
Yeah.
It is definitely very fun, and it has a lot of different uses. You basically choose a sergeant that's, just any sergeant. Yeah. So don't have to be caught. You can use it on bike sergeants if you want. Yeah. Basically, it adds 1 to their attack, 1 to their wounds, improves their weapon skill by 1. Ooh. So if you use it on something like a Blade Guard sergeant, you'd basically create like a mini captain.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, you can stack all these things onto them and just get this absolute monster.
That is cool.
Which when the relics and stuff come up, I'll talk about that in a sec. But yeah, that's stratagems.
Some cool ones in there.
Yeah, some cool ones. Nothing groundbreaking, but decent. Litanies of the Devout. So Black Templars get their own set of litanies. You can't take Psychers, so it kind of makes up for that.
Right, yeah.
So because of that, often double chaplain builds are pretty decent, or at least they used to be. I'm not sure if they are anymore, but we'll see. So there's 6 in the index. Not all of them were great. There were just a couple that were pretty decent. Now there's sort of reason to take maybe any of them in a way, but we'll talk about them just very briefly. So Litany of Divine Protection. You point at a unit and give them a 5-up, feel no pain. It's awesome. Yeah. It's amazing. You can put it on Dreadnoughts, you can put it on Terminators, you can put it on 20-man Crusader bricks.
Yeah.
When everything's got either a 5-up or 4-up invol, it is really good. Brutal. Yeah, I've enjoyed many games of having a big brick of Terminators that are on a 0-up save and a 5-up invol that just
3 wounds each.
It's 3 wounds each.
Crazy.
That just don't die. Unless you play the old AdMech before they got nerfed to die in 1 round of shooting. Yes, cool. So Psalm of the Remorseless Persecution. This used to reroll 1s in melee to wound. It is now you select a unit, and on wound rolls of 6, they inflict 1 mortal wound to a cap of 6, which I think is just a nice little spice.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Templars had barely any mortal wound output, like basically none, because they don't have psychers.
No.
So this is kind of nice. Like, I think this definitely has some play, like, you know, a huge brick of Vanguard vets with claws.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
When you're rerolling your wounds, like, you're going to get at least a few mortals out of that. And mortals are just so good now.
They are.
When things
crazy.
are so tough and so hard to kill, often mortal wounds just beats them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, things like Deathwing Knights, Death Guard, mortal wounds just cleave through all their defensive
was it
stuff.
the Dark Angels grav cannons into Lich Guard on
What's
the
that?
planes? The black talons have the
Oh,
planes
the dark shrouds? No.
something like that.
Yeah, the things that just do mortal wounds when they
I was
wound.
copping like 9 more wounds
they are
per
disgusting.
plane.
Yeah.
On Lich Guard, it was just
Yeah, not fun.
No.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Like it's just nice against things like warrior bricks where, you know, you're just gonna do 6 extra mortals.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's good. Plea of Deliverance. This is maybe the one. There's actually 2 in here that aren't amazing. This is one of them. It negates a unit that's being affected by psychic powers until the start of your next command phase. Until the start of your next command phase, that unit and the models it contains are not affected by any psychic power manifested by enemy units.
Okay.
So it negates a power if they are affected. If someone tries to cast something on them, they can't be affected.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I got a bit confused there.
That's right.
I don't think Psychers at the moment. I don't think you use a lot of powers like to. Actually, unless this blocks things like Smite, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But we have a 5-up against mortals anyway, so I don't think you take this. I actually didn't think about the witch power side of this. Maybe against what are they called? Grey Knights and Thousand Suns, where you're just taking a billion mortals. Maybe this has play into that. If it actually does block those powers, but a lot of the time you're not casting those like, you know, stop you know, a unit moving or charging a certain amount. Like those, what are they called? Maledictions or whatever they're called. Like, maledictions aren't really that big at the moment. It's
not at all,
psychic powers are more like buff your own unit kind of things.
Right, yeah.
Or doing psychic, like mortal wounds. Yeah. So maybe to block mortal wounds, but, you know, not massive. Fires of Devotion, +1 attack to a unit if it charges or gets charged.
Yeah.
It's just good.
Yeah,
it's just good. Nice. It's just good. So I think you always take Litany of Divine Protection for the 5-up. Feel No Pain. I think you're either going to take the 6s do mortals or Fires of Devotion for the extra attack.
Yeah.
Because they're both pretty good. Sort of interchangeable maybe. Fervent Acclimation. It basically lets you select a unit and they gain the benefits of one of the other vows.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's. I think this is going to get fact. I'm not sure if it gains the drawback of the vow as well. But compared to the other litanies, even if they didn't get the drawback, I probably wouldn't take this anyway, because most of the other vows just are very, like, they're just very lackluster.
They are.
Anyway, Oath of Glory. This one at least is very fun, but I think it might actually be good. If this litany is inspiring, at the start of the fight phase, if this priest model is within engagement range of any enemy units, it can fight first.
Oh, yeah.
Hit rolls of 6 generate 2 additional attacks for that priest, and you add 1 to the strength characteristic of this priest model. Ooh. So it's kind of like a different version of Mantra of Strength.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't use both because you can't mix and match the disciplines. That would be insane.
That would be pretty good.
I think this one's pretty decent. There's a couple of like chaplain builds that I think you could do some fun things with.
Yeah.
Like you take Benediction of Fury, you cast this, There's a Warlord trait in a second that sort of does a few mortal wounds. You do a lot of... you take, Imperium Sword for an extra attack. You would cast Oath of Glory, which is that one, for exploding attacks. And you would take the 6s do mortals. Because Benediction of Fury also does mortals on a 6. Each wound roll of 6 does 2 mortals. So that might be a bit of fun.
That might be, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So that's the Litanies. Warlord Traits. So this is my other big beef with this book. The Warlord Traits are all pretty bad.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, they are pretty bad. Actually, there's an especially bad beef that I have later, but we'll come to that. The Warlord Traits, none of them leap out at me as yes, I would take that. The good one that we had before was Frontline Commander, which was +1 to advance and charge rolls, just in a bubble.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
They nerfed that. They made it terrible, and I'm not sure why. I mean, it was obviously very good before, but it was in no way game breaking. No, you know what I mean?
Especially with everything else got changed.
Yeah, exactly. So this one now it's just add 1 to advance and charge rolls made for this Warlord. Every time a friendly Black Templars core unit declares a charge against an enemy unit that is within engagement range of this Warlord, add 1 to the charge roll. So the Warlord has to actually charge first, and then that unit has to charge that unit to get the +1 to charge.
I mean, it's the same as the Grey Knights one. They changed that from an aura to it's probably the same sort of thing. Yeah.
So it's still usable, but I think as long as Canticle of Hate exists, I think you just use that instead. Especially if you're running 2 chaplains.
Exactly right.
I'm just not a huge fan.
Should we move swiftly on from the Warlord Traits?
The others aren't really even worth talking about. The Inspirational Fighter on an aura for wound rolls of 6 give you an extra AP, and it does stack with Assault Doctrine.
Oh, okay.
Which is fine, but you probably don't need that.
No.
Because then, your Blade Guard don't need to be AP 5.
No.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So
with the amount of invulnerables around, AP -1 is usually enough to bump them up to a decent level to actually get through.
Right, relics. There's a lot of relics.
Yeah.
I'll pick out the good ones. So Crusader's Helm, it's basically our version of Vox's Spirit and whatever it's called. So add 3 to auras, and you can select a unit and put them into Assault Doctrine. It's just an awesome relic.
Yeah.
Awesome support character relic. Really good on Apothecaries. Really good on Chaplains doing Canticle of Hate.
Yes.
Really good on, captains, anything like that. I love this on the Reaver Lieutenant with Rites of War. Yeah. So you'd shoot your OBSEC bubble out to 9, which is great.
Yeah.
You do, he himself is OBSEC. You can then use Terror Troops on him, which turns off enemy OBSEC within 3. This makes that 6.
Oh, okay.
And because he himself is OBSEC, just he alone can just take
the objective,
an objective. Actually, there was one stratagem that we didn't talk about, which is easily the best stratagem we have now.
Oh, okay.
The new one anyway. You basically make a core.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. This is an important one. I skimmed over it. So in my game last night, I used this almost every turn. At the start of your command phase, you make a core unit OBSEC.
OBSEC, yeah.
So
it's crazy. Including Dreadnoughts.
Including Dreadnoughts. It is amazing. Because it's at the start of your command phase, the timing is perfect to turn it on, and then you score your primary at the end
of your command
phase.
I know all too well about it because of reanimation protocols.
Exactly, yeah. So similar thing there. Yeah. So stealing objectives back when your enemy thinks that they're on it.
Yeah.
I think that alone is gonna make Templars a really good army for doing Stranglehold. They kind of were already, but it's sort of like the difference between you scoring a 15 and making your opponent score a 5.
Exactly.
Because it lasts until until the start of your next command phase. So that unit's OBSEC all through your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
So they have to kill it off or get more OBSEC on or whatever. Amazing.
Except for your Thinking Man's army. I think.
I think so. Yeah, which is probably why it's no good for me. But yeah, fantastic stratagem. What do we get next? Aurelian Shroud. So it used to give a 4-up to all core, really good for dreadnoughts, just for one turn. A 4-up invul, that is. They've changed it to just core infantry. Which I think when you can get a 5-up invul for the whole game, I think that's a good change because having one turn of a 4-up invul for all your dreadnoughts and stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and then having a 5-up for the rest of the game would have been too much, so I understand that nerf.
A flat 5-up all game is still pretty good.
Exactly. But, if you run a lot of infantry, like a lot of Crusaders, things like that, it's still good.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah, it's still very strong. Ancient Bravery, instead of rolling 1 dice for your litanies, you roll 2, pick the highest.
Nice.
Just really good for getting litanies off, because even if you don't take Wise Orator, which adds 1 to the roll, you have a higher chance of getting that litany off. It's like 1 in 10 that you fail or something.
Yeah.
Whereas Wise Orator's 1 in 6. So just really good for chaplains. Sword of Judgment. So this you can give to just a sergeant for a CP. It's just a power sword that's +3 strength, -3 AP, 3 damage. If you give it to the champion of the feast that we talked about before, like the super sergeant, if you give that to a blade guard, he is strength 8, -3, D3 damage, and I think 6 attacks on the charge, 7 attacks if you use Fires of Devotion.
Yeah.
And I used that setup last night. It is a 2 CP sync, but he alone must have killed like 10, 15 assault intercessors just because that's what Reese was using against me a lot. Like, he is super scary.
Straight up kill a Terminator.
Exactly. Like, he is super scary. Like, that's better than what I think you could build a captain with at the moment.
Probably is.
Like, it's more attacks anyway. Got sidetracked. Adamantine Mantle, all the general Space Marine stuff. Perdition's Edge. I'm not really into taking weapon relics on my characters, but this one is pretty fun. I definitely use it as a fun thing in a game. It's a power axe. You replace the power axe with it. It's strength +3, AP -2, 2 damage.
That's not bad.
Wound rolls of 6 just do 2 mortals instead of the damage. So, yeah. Damage in addition would have been a bit too much, but I think it's nice. It's kind of cool, Strength +3, if you can get a +1 strength from somewhere else, you're strength 8.
Yeah.
So I think that's okay. You
can do some, and there's no cap on those mortal wounds?
No cap. No cap. No cap. Last one, Tannhauser's Bones. Whoever you give this to, it reduces all damage to 1.
Oh, yes.
So even if you take, if you get hit by a volcano cannon, and that 12 damage or whatever it is gets reduced to 1. So there is a build that people have been talking about. I'm not a huge fan of it, but maybe I'll try it. I'm definitely going to try it out, but there's a bike chaplain. You put this on and you give him +1 wound and the 6-up feel no pain. Excuse me. And he takes some ungodly amount of attacks to kill.
Yeah, I've seen. I think that was an Auspex.
Yeah, it was an Auspex tactics video. It's definitely got a place. Like, I tried it on a Judicial last night.
Oh yeah. Which is very good with Devout push.
Yes, for sure. He did just. He almost lived. He needed 1 6-up save, 6-up feel no pain to survive a full unit of Blade Guard attacking him, but it didn't quite happen, unfortunately.
And that's why I sort of build my Necron lists around 1 damage.
Exactly.
I just find anything more than 1 damage seems to be wasted a lot these days.
Sure. Yeah, you either need 1 or more than 2. Yeah. Like 2 is generally bad.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Right. The other mechanic that Templars got is called Relic Bearers. It basically lets you give mini relics to models in your unit. So not characters, just everyday models.
Okay.
They don't even have to be sergeants. They can just be any model. Some of them, you don't pay CP either, you pay points. Some of them are really good. In fact, they're all kind of okay at the worst. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. I'll just talk about the big ones. So for 20 points, Sigismund Seal, whichever unit it's given to can reroll all hits and wounds against a selected unit on the battlefield in melee. It's 20 points, I think, for the points, maybe on a thing of Vanguard vets with Thunderhammers, which, re-rolling everything is really good for them, and they can fly, so they can kind of get to the unit that you select.
That you select.
Yeah, exactly. Other than that, I'm not sure if it's totally worth the points. Holy Orb, in your shooting phase, you can shoot the Holy Hand Grenade, yes. On a 2+. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, so just like a little smite kind of thing. That unit is then made to fight last in the fight phase.
That's good.
That is really good, and I think it's quite cheap.
When do you throw it, sorry?
In the shooting phase.
Oh, okay. So it's not out of phase shooting then?
No. Okay. So the thing with this is you can't use it in Overwatch, which would be amazing. Yeah. That would be really good. You can use it in combat already, because it has it's not like a shooting attack or anything. Yeah, it's not a weapon. It's just like an ability. So you can use it when you're locked up in combat, and then you get to swing first if it's your turn. Yes. So that's quite good. It's also just good if you've got like multiple charges going. Yeah. Because often armies, like, there's a big problem for like Blood Angels. You'll charge a lot of different things. Yeah. One of your units is almost sacrificed because you get interrupted and they die. Yeah. With an ability like this, you can kind of guarantee that you get the fights off that you want. Yeah, so you fight first against the unit that isn't made to fight last. Yeah. And then you get to, attack that unit without them interrupting. So I do like that one. Yeah, I think it's really good. The Crux, or the Crew, Obsidian, you make a model. These have to be infantry, by the way. You can't do it on vehicles or anything. Yeah. You make a model, reduce all damage by 1. This is pretty decent when you combine it with the Champion of the Feast. When you get things up to 4, even 5 wounds if you're doing like Centurions or something. Yeah. And then you make them reduce damage by 1, and then you put a 5-up Feel No Pain on them, etc. Then you heal them with the Apothecaries. Yeah. That's the other thing to note. When you put all these like goodies on these units, these models rather, when you bring them back, they're still there with an Apothecary. Oh, okay. So if you res a model with, -1 damage, when you bring it back with an Apothecary, it's still -1 damage. So you get a lot of value out of your Apothecary. Yeah. So I think this is pretty decent. I actually kind of like this with something like an Eradicator. You give an Eradicator an extra wound, and then you put this on him, and he's just really hard to kill. I can see that. Something like that. Yeah. Fist of Balthus is just like a better power fist that has no minus to hit and it's damage 3. Yep.
Yeah, it's always funny when I'm playing non-Space Marine, Space Wolf armies. I'm like, I'm hitting with a power fist on a 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's a better flamer. This one, to me, is the best one. It's called the Icon of Heinemann. It basically lets a model ignore AP -1, AP -2. When you're choosing that vow where you don't get the benefits of cover, this is really good because it basically like gives you cover on a unit. It is doubly good on something like Blade Guard.
Okay, we are back. Yes. The camera was having a bit of a fit, so it was falling. I think it's okay. It said it stopped recording, but we're still recording, I believe. So hopefully we're not too bad. So we're going to go over the special secondaries very quickly and the data sheets very quickly. We'll probably make this a 2-parter. Yeah. And in the second part, we'll go into some like list ideas and maybe some combo wombos, that sort of stuff.
Sounds good. There's not really much to talk about with the secondaries. So this, although I found the vows quite disappointing, as a competitive player...
Keep talking!
As a competitive player, I found the secondaries a huge letdown because I was really hoping for just one secondary, maybe like an action secondary that you could take consistently and score consistent points with. There is nothing of the kind. They are just terrible. Like they're basically just like different versions of the space. Like there's a couple that are like the Space Marine ones. That are just bad. Like there's one that is literally half a page of text, and it's terrible. It's terrible. They're bad.
They're bad.
Big letdown. I'm very disappointed. Thank you, Games Workshop. That's pretty much all I have to say about them. We'll quickly go into the data sheets.
So want to talk. So that's on the special characters. We'll go over them briefly now. But is there anything that stands out competitively with these guys? Like that is like obviously they'd be really good in like a tournament situation.
Their data sheets. So High Marshal Helbrecht is an absolute beast now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he used to be 155 points. He was pretty good for a Chapter Master because a lot of the Space Marine ones aren't.
No.
And he was pretty good. He had like a melter gun. He adds +1 to strength to core stuff.
Yeah.
He was like pretty decent. He went up 5 points to 160. And he is insane now. He's got 8 wounds. He's got 6 attacks. He's
like a mini dreadnought.
Yeah, he basically is. He has a what's it called? A combi melter. The bolter part of it is rapid fire 2, strength 5, AP -1, 1 damage. The melter gun is just a normal melter gun, except the damage is just always D6 +2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that it's not D6 +4 when you're in half range, unfortunately, but it's still pretty good. It's pretty sick. When it's hitting on a 2, it's just a nice little spike of damage. So everyone I'm sure has seen his
little
model.
attendant. Yep.
Yeah, so he gets his little attendants actually get to fight, and it says each time the bearer fights makes they just make 2 additional attacks.
Yeah. What's he armed with?
So the sword of the High Marshal. So before
the attendant on Master.
Oh yeah,
don't worry about Helbrecht.
Just a strength 3.
Okay.
Weapon. He's like a servitor thing. Yeah. So Sword of the High Marshals is insane now. It used to just give you D3 plus D3 extra attacks. It now gives you 2 different attack profiles. One is +2 strength, -3 damage. -3 AP, 1 damage.
Yeah.
And you make 2 hit rolls instead of 1. So on the charge, that's 14 attacks. That is incredibly good at killing toughness 3 models.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Against Drukhari, any of that kind of stuff, you were just going to mop up models with that. Just absolutely cane them. His other one, his 2-handed strike, is ×2 strength, so strength 8, -3, 3 damage. That's your marine killing profile.
No negative in it.
No negative, that's on 2s. That's your marine killing profile. You'll charge into Blade Guard and kill a few Blade Guard with that. He just has so many attacks.
Yeah.
And he... Yeah.
And a top base save too.
That's nice. So he's not a Terminator, but he has Terminator armor, basically. And he's Primaris now, so you can transhuman him, do all that good stuff. He is a Chapter Master, so you can point at something, make it reroll. He gives off the normal reroll 1s. His special ability is that he still adds +1 strength to core units.
Oh, nice.
So that's just like icing on the cake. So
especially assault intercessors with their chainsaws.
Exactly. Crusaders being strength 5, and then you add +1 to wound. You're wounding, basically everything in the game on at least a 4.
Yeah.
And when you have, we'll get to the Crusaders in a sec. When you have 80 attacks possibly, you're just going to delete anything. High Marshal Helbrecht for 160 points. I think he's going to make it into a lot of lists. I think you'd need a really good reason not to take him. 100%. A really good 100%. Reason not to take him.
So give him a thumbs up.
Big thumbs up. Last night, this is how I used him last night. He charged an ATV and killed it, and then he took 2 melted shots to the face, failed all his saves and his Feel No Pains, and died. So that was my bad. I'm sorry, Albrecht. Yeah, I'll try and do him justice later. Grimaldus is the other, famous Black Templars character.
Just a special chaplain.
Yep, special chaplain. He used to be very simple. It was 95 points. He could do 2 litanies. He's completely different now.
Outside looking, he was not great.
What's that?
He wasn't that great, really, in decks.
He was good because he was good value. So he could recite 2 litanies, but he wasn't a Master of Sanctity. So you could have 2 chaplains reciting 2 litanies.
Yeah.
The unfortunate part of him, he had to recite on a 3.
Yeah.
So he'd often miss a lot of litanies.
Yeah.
The old Grimaldus, though, he made your units explode on 6s.
That is true.
Which was so good. And I miss that a lot because it's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. So what's his thing now?
Yeah. So now he's Primaris. He gets an extra wound. He has his 3 little servitors that follow him around.
Yeah.
And the servitors used to give you a 4-up Feel No Pain against mortals, but now they're actually part of his unit.
Oh, okay.
He's gone from 95 points up to 140. Oof. So he's the same price as a Master of Sanctity on bike.
Okay.
He's not a fighter at all. He's still very much a support character.
Yeah.
So each servitor gives off an aura that benefits, things in different ways. So one makes him, it gives him +1 to his roll, his litanies. So he does recite litanies on a 2 now, which is good. But he is also a Master of Sanctity now. So no more double, chaplain thing. But when we talk about lists, we'll talk about that. Yeah. One of them just gives out an aura of a 6-up Feel No Pain that just applies to core. So not core infantry, to just core. So dreadnoughts all get the 6-up Feel No Pain.
So make some iron hands, basically.
Yeah, make some iron hands. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then the other one makes your advance rolls D3 + 3.
Oof.
Yeah, which is really quick. Like when you can, especially when you can advance. Like if you roll say a 1 to begin with, so that would be a 4. You just re-roll it because Black Templars do it for free, and you're gonna go 5 to 6 on your advance.
So minimum
basically
10 move.
4. Yeah, exactly.
Basic moves.
Yeah,
cool.
And that is awesome. And that's another reason why that Abhor the Witch thing, where you get the extra 3 to move, you don't really need it that much because if you're taking Grimaldus, you're just so quick anyway. So yeah, that's what he does. If you kill him, he gets back up on a 4.
Ooh.
Yeah, so there you go. That's his thing. But other than that, so he's very expensive now. The other drawback of him is that each of his little men in his retinue in his unit, because they're a whole unit now, they have different profiles, like where the attacks, etc. are. But they actually share all the same keywords. Okay? So they don't have a separate line of keywords for the little servitor men. And so
they all count as characters.
So they all count as characters, and if you take assassinate, it says when you kill a character model.
That's the same with the Silent King. I found it when I played Liam's sisters.
Oh, it counts the many things.
Many as characters, I believe.
Yeah. So Grimaldus just gives up 12 on assassinate. So it's crazy. And you kind of want him up there if you're playing. I guess what's an assault army kind of.
You just have to keep checking the camera.
He's going to be up there, close to danger. So I'm not. I think just that alone, my team dropped from a lot of lists because it just hands your opponent a secondary. Emperor's Champion, big whiff from Games Workshop. He was an HQ before, and that was his big problem because he's not really a support character. He's like a kill other character. You can take a chapter champion with any Space Marine chapter.
Yeah, and no one ever does.
No one ever does, but I actually think they're really good. And they're all better than the Emperor's Champion, who's the name... for real. So Emperor's Champion is 100 points.
Yeah.
He's just like a Primaris guy with a power sword that is 2 damage, and you can make it -1 to be ×2 strength, 3 damage.
Oh, okay.
He does all the champion stuff of like heroically intervening 6. You can choose a Black Templar Warlord trait for him. They're all terrible.
Yeah.
He has a 4-up save. He's -1 to hit in combat. Chapter champions are all those things, except you can give them any Warlord traits that you want. They generally have more attacks. They can have a damage 3 sword. That's their special relic thing. So, I don't know. He's just not great.
No.
Like, if he was an elite, I would probably look at taking him.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. The only thing he can do different to a normal chapter champion is instead of heroically intervening just towards the closest model, he can choose to heroically intervene towards a character.
Okay.
So he could be good for character sniping.
Yeah.
Especially if you double it down with you have to the strat that makes a character fight your character. But I just don't think he's worth it at 100 points. Like,
especially when you're going to take probably 2 chaplains.
Exactly. Like, you're probably going to be taking 2 chaplains. I really think Tech Marines are probably going to start popping up in Black Templar's list, because you'll probably just see a lot of triple Redemptor.
Yeah, 100%.
So he's just not going to make it into any lists.
No. So you got one auto-include guy, one sort of, and one not.
And one definitely not. I will absolutely be playing him in fun games though, because he's a cool model.
That's like me with Ragnar. Like, Ragnar is not a competitive choice at all. He's cool, but just take him as fun. Yeah.
You know, he'll be kind of fun.
He'll show up.
Sure.
So that's probably have to be the last thing, because we're running out of time.
Camera
battery.
And camera battery. Yep.
Because we're not very professional.
Cool. I'll just combine the Crusader squad.
Yeah.
So there's obviously the new Primaris one. The old one is still around. They went back up to 90 points, which is really sad. No more triple Crusader squad for cheap.
75 points for 5.
75 was fantastic. I think they were fine there. Maybe Tactical Marines should have gone down to 75. I think that needs to happen, but it will never happen because they want to sell Primaris.
Exactly
models,
right.
Which is fine. So Primaris Crusader squad, you can just take a huge amount of 2 wound Primaris models that all have 2 attacks, and then the Sword Brother has 3. The Sword Brother has to take a Power Sword, which is fine, whatever. They're very expensive because the minimum size is still quite large. It's like 5 Marines, 4 Scouts, and then the Sword Brother.
Oh, okay, yep.
So I think I think there's potential to see these guys at the maximum size, which is 20.
Yeah.
And if you give them all chain swords, it's something like 4 attacks each on the charge. You then chuck Fires of Devotion on these guys for +1 attack per model.
Crazy.
Like it's something like 100 attacks. Like, honestly, it's insane. And when you Hellbrecht making them strength 5, you add +1 to wound with Exhortation of Rage.
Things get mental.
I can't think of anything in the game apart from like Gazkul, who can only take 4. Or the Nightbringer. Like, only those things. Like, you could just one-hit anything, basically.
100%.
So I think you'll probably see the Crusaders, they'll have a 5-up invol with the Vow. Mini-trans. You'll probably take Aurelian Shroud to give them a 4-up for a turn. Give them a 5-up, Feel No Pain. Like,
we could go big trans if you want to for 2 CP.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you really want to keep them around. And look, if you do lose some models, Primaris Neophyte is 16 points. This is their stat line. So 3, like, they hit on 3s shooting and attacks. Strength 4, toughness 4, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, 4-up save, which doesn't really matter because they get a 5-up invol. They are really good for 16 points. You give them a chainsword, 4 attacks on the charge. Thanks for coming.
Craziness.
We'll leave it there. There was one other thing, but there's...
Sword Brethren worth taking just as a quick...
No.
I didn't think so.
Sword Brethren are very, very similar to Veteran Intercessors.
Oh, okay. Which you never see.
Yeah, which you never see because they're, obviously not worth the points.
No.
You can, like, the war gear options section is about half a page.
Yeah.
And you can't equip, like, all of them with thunder hammers or whatever.
No.
You can only take, like, one thunder hammer unless you have 10, and then you can take 2.
No.
They don't have shields.
No shields.
They're bad.
Yeah.
You can't advance and charge. They do ignore the downside of your vow.
Yeah.
That you're going to be in the 5 up in Vol 1 anyway.
Exactly.
So you do get covered with them, but they have 3 up save anyway, so it just doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't make much difference.
If they had shields, yeah, they'd be pretty good.
100%, yeah.
If they had mastercrafted power swords, I might look at them. They don't have any of those things. The only way I can see them getting played is, for some reason, the minimum squad size is 4. So if you take them just with chainsword and pistol, I don't know why that is.
Yeah, it's a bit strange.
Because there's no like captain or anything. No sergeant. So if you just give them the most cheap loadout, so bolt pistol, chainsword, 4 is 88 points. So that might be like just a cheap option. Like they have 3 attacks each, so you get up to 5 on the charge with the chainsaw.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Maybe that's decent. I'm not sure.
Don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Or you just take 5 assault and
Yeah, exactly. For 95.
Yeah, for 95.
So they'd have obsec. And, all these other things.
Awesome.
So that was the that was the Black Templars book.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, it's very different.
A lot of you have to delve deep into it to see what you can get out of it.
Yeah, it definitely has changed the vibe of the army. They were the masters of making it to combat.
Yeah,
and they used to punch a bit harder. I think they don't punch as hard in combat now that the exploding sixes with Grimaldus has gone.
Yeah.
I think their durability has gone way up with the mini relics.
Yeah.
Ignore AP -1, AP -2. Feel no pain's just out the wazoo. Being able to res and stuff. I kind of feel like they're similar to almost like a Dark Angels thing now, where very hard to kill but very slow.
Yeah, 100%.
With sort of a bit of it, like you'll probably run Dreadnoughts as a shooting backline, or even like a Death Guard kind of vibe. Again, very slow but very tough to kill.
Exactly.
With good shooting units in the back. I'm kind of excited to play it. Like, I'm a bit sad about losing some of the stuff from the
I was
index,
the same with Space Wolves. They went in a very different direction with Space Wolves, but that sort of after, about a year of Space Wolves book being out, they're good.
Exactly. Yeah, well, that's good. Nice.
Yeah.
I do love Dreadnoughts, so I'm very happy to spam Dreadnoughts all day.
The Dreadnoughts are good.
Exactly. And, like, if I ever want to advance and charge again, I'll just go and play White Scars for a game
That's
or
it.
something.
That's a good thing about Marines. You can normally play whatever you want with what you've got. Yeah.
Very versatile.
No, thank you for talking to us through the book.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, hopefully I can
probably talk another 2 hours. But,
definitely. Yeah. Now we'll have to talk lists because I do have some ideas.
We'll play a couple of games, either on camera, off camera.
Yeah.
Let Lewis delve into it deeper, do some play testing, and get some models painted up, and then we'll see how we go.
Excellent.
But
sounds
awesome.
Good.
And we'll probably go for the Necron book maybe next.
Yeah, I would love to see that actually. Yeah.
Because I don't think there's many Necron players out there who really get into the competitive side of it, so we'll see how we go.
I would like to see a video of you talking about things you'd like to see different in Necrons.
A long video.
Yeah.
Not a competitive set. But anyway, we'll get that. That'll be another day. But thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you guys next time.